If you love AI and generating images with AI, you're gonna love this video because we are gonna break down how to build an automation through an interface in Airtable so that with the push of a button, we are able to generate any image that we describe and bring that image back into our Airtable database. So if that's of interest, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth. I'm the owner at Gap Consulting, and we make it our mission to help you to get organized and automated with no-code tools. At the forefront of our favorite no-code tools is Make.com. Make is an incredible automation tool that allows you to talk to all kinds of different software and basically get that software to work with your other tools. And in this example, we're going to be showing how you can link up Airtable with AI, ChatGPT, so that we can generate an image output from that software and bring it back into Airtable. So first, let's jump into an example of what the finished product might look like. And we're gonna then go step by step and build this together. So here's our finished product. We are in an Airtable interface. We click on into any item here. We can add a title, let's say house on a river. And now I can write an image description. Create an image for a house on a river that is under a cloudy sky. The more information we give, obviously, the more descriptive our output will be. Then with the click of a button, we sit back and relax while Make.com goes out, sends that information out where we need it to go, specifically in this case, to talk to an AI tool, come back with an image, as you see right here, happening in real time. And here we go. There it is, a house on a river under a cloudy sky, just like we described in our prompt right here. We are going to be building this step by step. So let's go ahead and hop on into it. Now, before we get into the video, I want to encourage you to follow along with me step by step as we're building here. Go ahead and grab your own Make account and open it up and follow along with me. If you don't already have Make.com going, if you don't have an account, use our link below that you'll find around this video and you can get set up on a free trial. All right, now let's go step by step into what we're building here. First step is to go back to Airtable and of course, set up the right structure for this database. So inside of our base, all I have is one simple table. So you don't have to be an Airtable expert to really understand what's happening here. It's just a little bit of data. I have an auto number field, and this is going to just increment every time we create a new record. So it's just gonna go count up by 1 every time. Then I have an image title field. This is a simple text field where we're bringing in a title that we want to refer to this image by. Then I have my description field. This is similar to the image title, but it is a long text field. The long text field, of course, is going to allow us to write more information here, which is better in the case of an AI prompt. And then lastly, I have my image field here, where this is an actual attachment field type that allows us to bring back the attachments that we create, the different images that we create, and save them back in our Airtable database. Now, the last piece here is actually our formula. All I've done here is I'm combining or concatenating two other pieces of information. That is the auto number and the image title. That way I'm just stringing these two things together, and that's what that formula is outputting right here. So now we're going to get into interfaces because this is my preferred way to look at my Airtable data. Inside of interfaces, we put together what is called a list view. So if we go down into the edit section, we can click here and edit this particular section. This little section right here on our page is simply a list view that we've added inside of an interface. If we were building this from scratch, it would look a little bit like this. We would see the ability to add a page, and we would choose the list option right here. And then we can go in and customize what information is showing up in this list view. So by clicking on the list element, as I've just done, on the right-hand side, I can come on down, go to list options. This is where I can choose what is going to show up. So here I've allowed it to show my ID, which is this portion right here. I've asked it to show my image description and also my image. I'm hiding the auto number and I'm hiding the image title, at least for now. I could always bring them in if I need to, just by clicking right here to make them visible. Now the next piece is to click on the open section. And this will ask you, do you want to allow your interface users to expand this information and look inside the record? Of course, you will say yes, and then you can build this little sidebar as I've done right here. You can notice that I've toggled on my comments, so I can add little comments here at the bottom and collaborate with the team. And I can also choose to bring in different elements here again. So this is where I've made it available for my team to edit this information. I have to toggle it on and say this element is editable when you click into this particular record. So here you are, you can change the image title, you can change the image description, and of course we can also edit the image. So that's how we built all of this. And then the last part here is I'm adding this button. When I add this button, then it asks me, what action do you want this button to take when someone clicks it? That can be located right here in the actions section. And right if I go into this button, you'll see that I set it up to run an automation. So this is how I built the integration between Make and this Airtable interface. Now let's go ahead and go step by step through the automation. The first thing we need to do is head on over into make.com and we establish the watch responses in Airtable. When we do this, it creates a webhook for us. This webhook acts like a phone number, so that when Airtable is ready to send that information and trigger the automation, we are going to use this webhook, kind of like a phone number, and we're able to pass information through that private line that we've created. So go ahead and create your own watch responses and then copy this address to your clipboard. Now we're going to head back into Airtable and we are going to go into our automations. Here we will build a simple automation that says when the button is clicked in our interface, and here's where we have all of that set up, we are going to run just a little snip of code. Let's go ahead and look at what that code is going to be. Now this code is quite simple. I am not a coder myself. This is something I copy and paste and use over and over again every time I need to build my Make integrations and automations. So here what I'm doing is I'm saying, when that button is pushed, I'm going to want you, Airtable, to send information to that webhook. So this is my webhook for the example I created, but your webhook will be different based on your make.com scenario. Then at the end of this, we are appending it and saying, and we want to add a little bit more information. In this case, the record ID. I'm naming a variable, record ID, and I'm going to tell you what that record ID is. So now we need to go into our automation and actually establish what that record ID is. We create this variable. Simply come down and say add an input variable and add the name. Make sure that it matches verbatim to what we've identified this. So in here, it's between the question mark and the equal sign. That is the name of our variable, and we need to identify it right here. Now we need to map that variable to our Airtable record ID. In order to do this, just hit the plus button here and find your Airtable record ID. This is the Airtable record that triggered the automation. Specifically, the record that was open when you push the button in the interface. Now that we have this established, what this does is when the button is pushed, it will run this little script which sends a call out to the webhook in Make, which then initiates our automation. But the webhook also receives the record ID. That way it's able to say, I have some information about this record and I need to do something based on what is contained within this record. So let's go now back to Make and take a look at the next part of the automation. So we've established our trigger. And remember, when it runs, it's going to receive the record ID from Airtable because that's how we wrote our script. Next, I'm going to go into Airtable and I'm going to say get a record. So inside of Make, I'm building this step that's going back into Airtable. I'm looking at whatever base I built. In this case, I named it image generator. And I'm finding that record based on the record ID that came from the previous step. So basically this means I can go into Airtable and find all of the relevant information associated with the record for which we just pushed the button. In this case, what I really care about is knowing what little prompt has been put in there so that I know what kind of image I want to generate using the AI tool. So next, I'm putting in, as my third step, my OpenAI integration. So here, I've established the OpenAI connection, but specifically, I am using the image generator inside of Make. So if we were to do this manually for the first time, I would say add a module here, and I would select the OpenAI. If I were to do a search, you'll find OpenAI brings back right here, DALL-E and ChatGPT. And here's where I'm going to make a selection. I want to generate an image. So choose this action as the action that we're putting together right here in step 3. Now, inside of this step, what we want to do is give it the prompt. How does it know what image we want it to generate? Well, we put that information in our image description. So here's where we know everything about that record that we found in step 2. So we're going to bring in our image description right here. I can also determine the size. I have a few different options here. I'm using small, but actually let's kick it up and see if we get better images if they're larger. We're going to use a URL response format, and in our case, we only want to return one image. You can return more if you'd like, any number between 1 and 10. Now I'm going to say OK and go to the final step. So now the AI tool has generated the image, but we don't yet have it mapped back to Airtable. In our 4th step, we're going to take care of that. We're updating a record in Airtable. We establish our Airtable connection. We say this is the base. Again, we have to map it to our image generator base. In this case, our images table. And what record are we updating? Well, that's the same record that we've been doing all this work for, right? We don't want to update some random record. It's the one that had the button pushed. So use the record ID either from step 1 or step 2. It's going to be the same record ID. The part that we want to bring in here is the image. So we're going into our image field in Airtable, and we're going to bring in that URL that was generated in the previous step. So it's going to look a little bit like this. I'm going to click into the file URL. I'm going to go into that information that I got from the previous step, click into my data, and bring in that URL. So click right here, and it's going to bring in that element. I'm going to delete that one because I already have it here. And that's it. It's really that simple. We click OK. Now don't forget 2 things. I always forget these whenever I'm building in Make. You gotta save. You have to save any changes that you make, and then you have to turn it on. I always make that mistake. So that's it. A simple 4-step automation. Now we can plop on back into Airtable. Of course, you're gonna have to make sure to turn on your automation. If you don't turn this automation on, it's never gonna send that trigger over to Make. And we also need to make sure to publish our interface if you haven't already done so. But now I can come in, open up a record, give it a little title. In fact, I don't even need a title, but in this case, I'll say camera, and I'll say create a picture of a camera taking photos on the beach. Let's see how it does. I'm going to click on create image. We sit back, relax. We wait for make.com and ChatGPT or our AI tool to do all of the work on the back end. Takes just a moment or 2. Also, again, note that we added the comments here so I can always chat with my team. Check out this new image. And it looks like that was perfectly timed because here comes the camera and look what it put together for us. A camera taking a pretty cool picture of the beach. Looks pretty good. A lot better than I could have done given way more time. So thanks a lot, AI, for making all of our lives easier, and also special thanks to make.com for making this integration possible. I know we covered a lot in this video and went pretty fast, so drop any questions you have below. And again, don't forget to grab your free trial of make.com using our link. And in the meantime, keep on building.